Yeah, absolutely. So, I was 23 years old. I was frustrated in my job. I was working at a magazine publishing house. I was a writer there, and I was just fed up of writing articles that my editor was telling me to write about, and I want to write something of my own. So I switched on my laptop, and I had no idea what I was going to write. I said, I'm just going to write straight from the heart. And I wrote these two paragraphs about a kid. She was 8 years old at the time. And she goes off into these forbidden woods behind her house. And something slightly magical and mysterious happens, and she runs out. And I wrote those two paragraphs, and I was so happy. Like, I had never felt that kind of happiness and fulfillment in writing, like, what was it, maybe 300 words. And I just knew instantly that's what I wanted to do. So then fast forward 6 to 8 months, I wrote the whole draft, and all 70,000 words of it. And I went to a writing workshop back in Bombay, and I was very excited to read the first chapter to my writing teacher, and so I did. And my writing teacher looks at me and she says, "Why are all of your characters white?" And I had written 70,000 words of my first draft with white characters. Ria was Rose, Rohan was Bryant. They lived in the English countryside. Their parents were called John and Hyacinth Bennett. So, as you can clearly tell, I was very influenced by the books that I read, especially British books that I read growing up. And I was really upset when my teacher said that. And I was like, why didn't you comment on my writing style or my plot And I wasn't the only person in the room that had brought in material to read that had white characters in them. And I'm not saying that you should not write outside your culture. By all means, do so if there's a story that you want to tell. But in my case, I didn't think about it. And this wasn't, this is a book. I wrote a whole manuscript. So this didn't happen over a day, right? This happened over months. So over months, I'm writing this book with white characters and white settings or Western settings. And I didn't think for 1 second to write about my culture, my Indian heritage, my upbringing, my experiences. And when I realized that, it hit me so hard because I realized that the books that I had read as a kid, and that's the other thing. I wrote this book as a 23-year-old adult, but I was writing a children's book, so I went, instantly back to the time when I was a middle schooler and reading the books that I read and loved. I would never change the books that I read as a kid. I loved Anne of Green Gables, The Chronicles of Narnia, Nancy Drew, Sweet Valley High, and all of the Enid Blyton books that I read as a kid, from Famous Five and Secret Seven. Amazing books. But that had whitewashed me into thinking that those were the stories that kids wanted to read, and that's why I wrote what I wrote. And when I realized that, I immediately, changed it. And representation became such an important part of writing this book, and has become a passion for me now. Also, if you think about fantasy books, like middle grade fantasy book, children's fantasy books with Indian characters in it, I mean, you can probably count the number of books on your hand, and we are like 1 billion strong in India. And then I think we have 18 million Indians across the world. And we just don't see ourselves in books. So then the other thing that became very important for me was to write a book that spoke or that had Indian kids at the forefront doing really cool, amazing things like being heroes, having magic, going on adventures, saving realms, fighting evil creatures, doing these amazing, fantastical things. Because I find that, especially in children's literature, when we're talking about underrepresented voices, it always is skewed towards more of the pain stories and the stories of hardship and struggle. And all of those stories are incredibly, incredibly important. But so are joyful stories, so are happy stories, so are stories where the main characters are empowered to do these amazing, phenomenal, fantastic things. Because the kids should see both sides of the spectrum. I don't want South Asian kids growing up carrying this burden of their culture that has just been, spoken of time and time again, and it sort of typecasts them into you just basically, if someone thinks Indian, then you just think of, poverty or caste struggle or immigration struggles or immigrant struggles. And, no, we're more than that. Just like every culture comes with their own set of hardships and struggles, they also come with their joyful stories and happy stories and brave stories, and these fantastical heroic stories. And so that was what inspired me to really write Riya and the Blood of the Nectar, that I wanted Indian kids to be in the forefront. I wanted to write a happy, fun, thrilling adventure with them doing amazing things. And at the same time, I wanted the Indian part of their identity to just be one facet, because we are not just one thing. Not just one quality or characteristic defines us as humans or as individuals. We are multifaceted. And for them, just like with all the books that I read with white characters, them being white was just one part of it. I didn't think, oh no, she has blonde hair, I have black hair, I can't connect with you guys. Oh, like you live in America, I live in India. I'm never going to connect with you. I never thought that. I was like, Anne of Green Gables was like my best friend. I wanted to be her, Harry Potter, I was like, it resonated with how many kids. It didn't matter where you were from. And that's what I wanted to do with this book, is that, yes, these kids are Indian, and you will see, a little bit of our Indian culture, but it doesn't define the story. It's about them being really cool, great kids, and being a kid is a universal experience. And so that's what I wanted to do with this book.
That was absolutely beautiful, and I found myself nodding and smiling and like snapping along with everything that you were saying. And I'm so glad that your teacher talked with you about that, and that you listened and took that to heart, because I can tell that this is your passion, and you did an amazing job of, creating this beautiful book and these beautiful worlds that I was able to relate to Riya and even parts of other characters like Leela. And I just wanted to say to all of our viewers, make sure that you check out Payal's website at payaldoshiauthor.com. And in her tab Fun Stuff, there's also the maps of the 2 different places in India and Australia. And then there's some awesome fun facts about India. So you definitely need to go check that out as well.
Yeah, thank you. It's true, it's just really become such a passionate subject for me, because the number of times I've had people come up and tell me that, oh, you wrote this book, that's so great. Like, I know just the Indian family that, or the Indian kid down my street who will love it. And I'm like, yes. But it's also for any kid who loves reading, and especially if they love reading fantasy books, you just get typecast just because there's a kid that looks a certain way on the cover. And I never saw that as a kid. And I'm just like, we need to break away. Like, why is just the white narrative considered the standard and all other stories considered diverse? No, it's that's not the world we live in today. It's, there's so many cultures and so many identities around us that we need to make it the norm that reading across cultures and across races and across the board, basically, the normal. That's what we need to do.
Are there any parts of your book that specifically connected to your life or your culture?
Yes and no. I think some of the things that I took directly, there's very small details. So there's this thing that I mention. It's an object. It's a talisman. It has a lemon, and then it's strung on a piece of wire, and there's lemon, and there are 3 or 4 green chilies. So it's skewed together like that, and then it's hung in the back of cars, or sometimes even on your house, above your door. And we never did that personally at home, but that's it's so pervasive. in Bombay. Like you see it on rickshaws and you see it on the backs of scooters, and it's just a talisman to sort of ward off evil, like the evil eye kind of a thing. And it's a very Indian thing, and I've always loved it, and so I wanted to include that in the book. And then, you know, we have a lot of superstitious people as well. So there's a little scene in which Leela makes Rhea go and touch a tree and be like, don't be so, you know, let's you know, let's not rock the boat kind of a thing. And then I think even with Bazai, the grandmother, Indian mums and grandmoms really love to cook and feed, and I purposely had Ria's mother not be a typical Indian mother because I wanted to show that, again, just break that stereotype. Especially in India, I find we have grown up thinking, you know, like nobody gets divorced, nobody has issues, everyone lives in this one big happy family. Like that's the narrative that has been told to us since we were younger, and that's how I grew up thinking. Like everyone is, you know, we like divorce is like such a taboo term. So I say divorce just as a umbrella term to talk about families that, you know, aren't considered quote unquote normal, right? And so Ria's mom, Amma, is very different from Indian mothers. You know, she's aloof. She isn't, you know, out to feed you all the time and pamper you all the time. And she, you know, she's battling her own demons. But Bazai, her grandmother, I kind of gave her those qualities, which also exist in Indian grandmoms. They're very much like that. They're very pampering and sweet. And again, they just love to feed you. So like, I put in those sort of experiences from my life into the book. And also like the traffic, the noise that you find at Chowk Rasta, especially when, at the junction, you know, and then you have hawkers coming by and selling you all kinds of things while you're waiting in this traffic jam. And so I put that in. That's a day-to-day occurrence back home. Just a few things here and there.
So you mentioned your book is part 1 in a series. When can we expect to see more of Rhea in the future?
Yes, this is book 1 in the Chronicles of Astranthia. It's a trilogy. So the second book, I am currently writing the very first draft, and it's a mess. But it is scheduled to release in fall 2022, and I'm really excited about it. I can say that there is a very important new character who is many shades of gray that I had a real blast writing about, and I hope readers will enjoy reading about that character. And this book, the sequel, I'm hoping, just gets bigger in the sense that we now spend more time in Astranthia. There's going to be a big battle. We're going to see quite a few new characters. I'm really excited for it.
Oh my gosh, yay. We're so excited too.
Yay. I just have to write this first draft now. And it's not easy with the pandemic and promotions with book 1 and having a 3-year-old toddler running around in the house. But we will get there. I'm hoping to finish the draft the next few months. I'm excited.
So we are going to play some MadLibs with your book. So we chose a page from your book, and we're going to ask you to give us some nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Are you ready?
Oh my gosh, yes, I am. I am so ready. All right, let's do this. I feel like I'm on the Jimmy Fallon show right now, so just putting it out there.
This sounds so much fun. Costume change. I got cold.
I love it. I love the costume change. Okay, I'm ready.
Sorry, can you give me a noun?
Sorry, I was thinking. I'm like, this is easy. Just a noun. And I'm like, Okay, I'm going to go very simple. And I'm going to say fence.
Verb.
Jumping.
Adjective.
Magnificent.
Noun.
Shoe.
ED verb.
Why is this so hard to think of an ED word? And every past like verb tense that I'm thinking about is like fallen, eaten. All right, okay. I mean, just again, let's see. ED. Created. It's the worst.
Okay, verb.
Run. Can I change the location? Let's make the location on Mount Everest.
Okay, 2 verbs.
I don't know why, but like the very first 2 that are coming to me is eat and fart. But if that's too gross, let's do fall. I was like, should I even send that message? They're gonna think I'm so bad.
Oh, we're totally keeping that part in because middle schoolers love fart jokes and talking about all that stuff. So it's staying in there. The next one is a noun with an S and then a place.
Trees and the bottom of a lake. Do I need to name a place, or would that work?
That works. Okay, a verb with ending with ing.
Singing.
Another verb, past tense, and then a noun.
So for the verb, slept, and for the noun, a book.
Okay, almost done. Another name, and then a verb, and then a noun and a verb.
So name would be Priya, Priya, and then I forgot the rest that you asked me to think about.
Verb.
Jog.
And a noun. And a
Noun would be laptop, and another verb would be fly.
Okay, drum roll, please. Is everybody ready?
Yes, I'm so ready. I hope this is funny and not just ludicrous.
I mean, aren't all MadLibs ludicrous?
That is true. But I really hope there are a couple of really good chuckles in there. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Amma stopped before their fence. She jumped to face Rhea, her expression magnificent. Stay inside and lock the shoe. Where are you going? Rhea created. I have to run. Where? Stop hassling me, Sarah. Go to Mount Everest. No, tell me or I won't eat from here no matter what you fart. Rhea buried her trees into the bottom of the lake, her final attempt at not singing. I have, Amma slept, at the failing book. I have to go. The Priya need me to jog their laptop. I'll be back in 2 hours. Now fly.
Most of it was really good. My favorite was when she calls her Sarah and she says, now fly.
I was hoping I read it correctly as I was going through. It was
very impressed that you didn't laugh or joke on any of the words, because as ridiculous as some of it was, I'm very impressed.
Well, I can't believe we have reached the end of our interview. I think we could probably talk with you for, the rest of the day. It's been so much fun. We've really enjoyed every bit of it. Laughing, learning about your book, learning more about you. Thank you so much for your time and spending time with us today.
Thank you both so much. This was honestly one of the funnest interviews I have ever given. This was awesome. Just thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy that, I got to chat with you guys and get to know you guys better as well. And I hope that we can have more fun chats in the future. And thank you.